This is the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show, a weekly broadcast that breaks down each Eagles game better than anyone else. The Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show is broadcasting live from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken and is heard on both 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM and is brought to you by SEPTA, Fogo de Chão, the Great American Pub, Independence Blue Cross, and Grand Cafe L'Aquila. We now go live to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
All righty, everybody. Welcome to the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff from the beautiful Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Like everything else, this Red October, we're moving our schedule around to accommodate our Philadelphia Phillies, which we're doing now. We'll be on at 6 o'clock next week with Coach Vermeil, barring some time change one way or the other. Our guest, Sean Landeta, caught up in a little bit of traffic, could be here in a few minutes. So myself and my wonderful co-host, Paul Domowitch, will talk about the Eagles' 23-14 win over the Rams yesterday. Stay undefeated. How are you, Domo?
I'm doing well, Charlie. How about you?
Doing very, very well. Unbeaten. Kelly Green in a couple weeks. We're looking for Green February, right? In Vegas. Eagles will wear their Kelly Green next game at home. They wore their regular uniforms yesterday, which were plenty enough. 23-14 over the Rams in L.A.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts takes another step. Ran a lot yesterday. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the adjustments, the defense, Sean Desai, Brian Johnson. But bottom line, Domo, they're staying undefeated. I know the 49ers, style points-wise, look prettier than the Eagles destroying the Cowboys last night. But 5-0 is 5-0.
You're right. I mean, you can find a lot of flaws in their performance every week, but they're finding a way to win. I feel a lot more confident right now about their offense than their defense, but their defense shut the Rams out in the second half. So you can't argue with that.
Well, I can't argue. Our guest is actually here. We were expecting a couple more minutes. Sean Landeta, welcome to the show. And great seeing you, Sean. We literally just started talking about the Eagles being 5-0. You were on some pretty good teams. A couple teams that won something called the Super Bowl. You were on a Giant team that was 10-0 in 1990. What's it like being undefeated and not playing your best ball?
Well,
first of all, welcome to the show.
Well, it's great to be here. Thanks very much. Usually that doesn't happen very often. Usually, if you're undefeated, you're playing pretty good ball. And I think the Eagles are a little bit of a victim of expectation. I mean, you'll watch the game yesterday and you'll say, well, maybe they didn't play that well, but they played an NFL team on the road. And they made a lot of good plays.
Pretty good NFL team on the road.
Absolutely. And even the week before, you're not going to win every game by 20 points, but when you're a great team, the expectation is that you will. So I don't know that they're playing, that badly, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Damo, it is what it is. What does the style point mean to you? Obviously, on WIP, my other station, they didn't do this right, they didn't do that right. And that's all fair. Fans, of which, by the way, there were a jillion in L.A. yesterday. They almost took the SoFi over. It's incredible what the Eagle fans do everywhere around the country. But in going to 5-0 and winning the game 23-14, how much does style points mean to you? Obviously, it doesn't matter in the final thing. You want to be better every week. They're getting a little bit better every week. They didn't play anybody in training camp. When do you expect the Eagles to really, quote-unquote, hit their stride?
Well, you look at some of the things that they need to fix. And one that you saw in the second half yesterday, which was impressive, was the slot corner. In the first half of that game, you watched Cooper Kupp and the rookie from Brigham Young, just slice them up. They couldn't stop those two guys.
Yep.
Second half, Bradley Roby, who they had signed to the practice squad, a veteran, 31 years old.
First round pick.
I wasn't sure what kind of impact he was going to have. That second half yesterday, he did a pretty damn good job for a first time out as far as kind of cooling Kupp down. Kupp had in the second half something like 2 catches for 25 yards or something. It was night and day from the first half. So, that's something I thought they were going to have to fix with a trade by the trade deadline.
And they still may.
Because I'm not sure Roby is long-term answer. And besides, you can never have enough good cornerbacks in a passing league. So everything else, there's – Jalen Hurts has slowly but surely, put his game together. I mean, he had an interception that you don't like to see yesterday in the end zone. But, that's going to happen to anybody. He started a run yesterday, which he hadn't in the first 4 games, and made some huge runs. That tush-push is becoming unstoppable.
How about that drive at the end of the first half that led to the tush-push? If I told you 34 seconds left, 70-some yards away, that there'd be a tush-push from the 1-yard line.
That's Kansas City Chiefs like. I mean, that was like last year with Mahomes. So, I mean, this is the thing that you worry about is the defense and the pass defense. That pass rush is terrific. They started blitz the last 2 weeks. They've blitzed a lot, and it's been effective. I don't know if that's going to continue. I think he'd rather have a 4-man rush and drop everybody back into coverage. But right now, I mean, Jalen Carter had 2 sacks yesterday. Yep. Hassan Reddick comes late in the game and has huge 2 back-to-back sacks. So, you can't not like where they're headed, even if it's sometimes an imperfect performance.
Mr. Landeta, you once told me that if your punter holds for the field goal kicker more than he punts, you've probably had a good game. Braden Mann, who's Jake Elliott's new holder. Jake Elliott never, ever misses. 3 more field goals. Yawn, as Eagle fans do. It's expected greatness now. Braden Mann only punted once. What do you think about the special teams as a whole? Pretty well. Britton Covey yesterday didn't break one, obviously, but responsible with the ball, didn't fumble. Made 1 little return. Other special teams pretty good. How are the special teams looking right now? And about Braden Mann, the less he's on the field, the better, obviously, for punters, right?
No, absolutely. As a punter, you always want to feel like you can contribute to your team, but obviously when you're out there, it's not good. So, I think he's only punted a couple times in the 2 weeks here, and, that's a good thing. Their offense has been moving the ball well. They have had a few more returns. Covey's done a good job. He's had some returnable punts to bring back, but he's done a good job with that. And, again, you mentioned Jake Elliott. I mean, this guy's so good. It's just amazing that, as you said, it's just expected every time he goes out.
How close is he to Justin? He's not Justin Tucker now, but how close is he? What does he have to do to be at that level, which is the greatest of all time, basically?
What he has to do is just keep doing what he's been doing. I mean, he's made a 62-yard field goal, a 61-yard field goal, and, except for Tucker, he's the best kicker on the planet Earth. And you could say right now he's as good as Tucker. Now, no one wants to say he's as good just because Tucker has more of a history and he's so great. But it's unbelievable. This young man was on a practice squad 6 years ago, and, no one knew about him. And here he is on his way to, having one of the greatest kicking careers ever. So he's done more than you can ask. And so far the special teams are hanging in there. When you have a team as good as the Eagles, the special teams, you don't want it to sound wrong, but it's almost like they don't have to be as great as much as just not being poor.
Right.
You know what I mean? You always want contributions from them, but just be steady. Put your offense and defense in good position. If you can do more, great, but just don't do something maybe to make us have to do more than we can because the other 2 phases, are so good. I mean, 5-0, that's a terrific start.
Yeah, another thing about Jake is he's had one kickoff that has not been a touchback since week 1, and that was
from the 20-yard line.
That was the one from the 20-yard line after A.J. Brown's penalty last week. The one thing you'd like to see right now is a little less of Jake. Their red zone offense is struggling. They were 2 for 6 yesterday.
And Jason Kelsey, Damo, showed some emotion with Jeff Stalin in the fourth quarter. We had some emotion from Nick, who explained he's an emotional guy. I don't mind it. As Mike Quick says, there's a camera everywhere now, Sean and Paul. A.J. Brown last week. Nothing wrong with emotion on the sidelines. I mean, Jason Kelsey talking to Jeff Stalin, talking about we're in the red zone, we're kicking field goals all the time. You're not going to win that way every week. Your defense is going to come up big, even when you have the long, grinding drives they had in the second half.
Yeah.
What can they do about the red zone, Damo?
Well, see, what's happening there is last year they're like 27th in the league right now in red zone offense. Last year they were 4th. Last year they were proportionately a run team in the red zone. I mean, they didn't. I think Jalen had nine of his 22 touchdown passes were in the red zone. Everything else was outside the 20, and they just dominated with the run inside the 20. This year, defenses said, okay, we're going to double down on the run in the red zone. You're going to have to beat us. You're going to have to throw it into the end zone and beat us with the pass. And he has not done that yet. Yesterday he had the touchdown pass to Goddard, and that was nice. But I'm looking at my numbers here.
Dallas had a nice year yesterday.
3 for 6 for 10 yards in the red zone. So, he's got to show them that he can make those passes into the end zone and be able to beat them that way. Because right now they're taking away the run. They're taking away his running in the red zone, and that's kind of why they're struggling right now.
Sean, we're talking about adjustments, basically. The Eagles did it in the second half. Desai adjusted against Kupp and Nakua and the Rams' passing offense. Other teams are adjusting. The Eagles. Jalen Hurts ran a lot yesterday, not a ton of called runs, but there were some. He's got to be who he is, the DNA of Jalen Hurts. The whole thing with adjustments, you never really play with a running quarterback, at least not with the Giants. The Eagles you did with Donovan a little bit, but at halftime, bring this inside the locker room. You were there for 1,000 years, and when you go in the locker room for those 12 minutes, what's it like with adjustments? The head coach talk to the team? Do assistants talk to the team? Is it different everywhere? How does that 12 minutes work?
Usually it's it's the same on most of the teams I've been on. Most of the guys will come in, and if there's an adjustment they have to make with equipment or go to the training room, they all go their own way for a few minutes. Usually when you come in, there's kind of a board up with all the chairs facing the board and then chairs on the other side. And the coaches will go meet by themselves for 2 or 3 minutes. Then the offensive coordinator comes out, and all the offense is sitting down looking at him on the board, and the defensive coordinator's on the other side doing the same thing. So for about 5, 6, 7 minutes there, that's what they do. And then the position coaches will get with the tight ends, the linemen, and they'll discuss everything that went on. And then a couple more minutes, a guy will go back to his locker, if he's got to straighten anything up. And, it's amazing how much they get done there. They talk about everything that's going on and what's good, what's not. And, it's all kind of planned out to the minute because it's only 10 or 12 minutes. It seems like it's 2 minutes before they're telling you it's time to get back on the field.
Not a lot of adjustments in punting. What did you used to do at halftime?
Well, I'd always come in, usually they always have some cut oranges or little things like that you would grab. Usually the kicker and I would sit in our stool at the locker and, talk about how the first half went for us and second half, how's it going to be. And, again, sometimes if it's raining out, you want to change your socks and shoes like other guys will. Or if it's real hot, you might want to change and put a dry shirt on. But, for the most part, we don't have to do what those other guys do.
Domo, we talk about Sean and punting. Now it's routine for punters to hold. You didn't hold a lot in your day, did you?
I didn't. I thought I was pretty good, but I was never the best guy. So there was always somebody else that held. And, in the 80s and 90s, into the 2000s, quarterback held. Yeah. I think Joe Montana held for 10 or 12 years. Joe Theismann held.
Dom, are there any starting quarterbacks holding these days? Anybody?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Me either. It seems especially, I don't know, obviously the return man or the holder getting hurt. We also haven't seen, we got to take a break here, but real quick, the play that was run against the Patriots, the field goal block, timing the snap, we haven't seen that again. I thought every team would try that. It hasn't been tried once by anybody.
Yeah, you and I talked about that after the game. We said, that was brilliant. And we both thought that the next week we would see that happen much often, and we haven't seen it at all. And I wonder why, because most of the time as a rusher, you're not going to block the kick. But if you can get in the kicker's peripheral vision, or you can get close to it, that could be enough to make him feel like he's got to speed up. But that was brilliant. You and I talked about after that, but you're right. We haven't seen it done.
Why, Damo?
Well, everybody cheats in this league or copies in this league, but sometimes it takes them a while. Look at the tush push,
Yeah.
You still don't have a lot of teams doing it.
Well, the Giants get people hurt doing it and apply for rule changes and appeal rather for rule changes, while the Eagles are scoring every darn play with it. It's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. They made their first 5 yesterday, and the only reason they missed on the last two were because they used it on the 3rd and 3. And
tried to go wide on one of them, too.
They were just killing time there.
Yep.
And,
all All right, speaking of killing time, we've killed the first quarter of our show. It's gone by in a heartbeat. We love being here at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Great food, great people. We will have Eagles head coach Dick Vermeil next Monday night, the 16th. Make sure you come down for that. We're a little early today because of the Phillies game. Sean Landeta is our guest. Paul Domowitch and myself. The Great American Pub in Conshohocken with the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff. You can watch the show live at WBCBSports.com and YouTube Live by searching WBCB Sports. We are back right after this. Stay with us.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
Millions of Americans are losing their medical assistance or Medicaid coverage. If this affects you, Independence Blue Cross can help. You may be eligible to enroll in a health plan for as little as $0 a month. With Independence Blue Cross, you get the largest provider network in the area, including most Keystone First doctors and hospitals. We also offer free 24/7 telemedicine, coverage for hospital stays and prescriptions. See if you qualify for $0 health insurance and enroll today. Call Independence Blue Cross at 1-844-464-2583 or visit ibx.com/staycovered.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
All righty, back here at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken with the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff. We are pleased to have a nice crowd. We want to have a big crowd next week for Dick Vermeil. Sean Landeta is our guest. Paul Domowitch, my co-host. Damo, Sean and I got in an argument before the show. I said Dallas played well yesterday. He said Dallas got killed last night. I said, I'm not talking about the Cowboys. I'm talking about Goddard. He kind of emerged, the last of the Mohicans, to have a big game. Obviously, Devontae didn't do much yesterday. When you have a lot of weapons, it's kind of pick your poison every week. And Dallas on the first drive is that by design, or does that just happen?
Yeah, that was by design. I mean, a team scripts the first 15, 20 plays. Yep. They don't necessarily always stay to it, but the fact that 3 of the first 6 plays were to him, the touchdown pass was to him. I mean, clearly he went into that game. He hadn't been targeted much less than last year, like 19 this year, 20 last year. But I mean, he was averaging 6 yards a catch. He was 2.2 yards
almost
after the catch. Yesterday it was just a difference. Yesterday was the Pro Bowl Dallas Goedert. I mean, he was, and that's what So they wanted to get him involved early. He had his first 100-yard receiving game and the touchdown in the red zone. So, hopefully for him and that offense, that's kind of the way it's going to roll now. Now they got, it's funny, they got so many damn good receivers. Yesterday everybody's wondering where's Devontae?
Right, one catch for 6 yards.
Why aren't they throwing to him? And you could see a couple times even he was kind of hanging his head.
Jogged down the bench. I mean, they got so many weapons. Obviously, Swift and Gainwell played well. We're going to talk about the offensive line in a second. Sean, you played with a tight end that was pretty darn good, Mark Bavaro in New York. I think you played with him here too, if I'm not mistaken. Might have played with him in 2 of his stops. How important is a good tight end? Obviously, a tight end is a receiver in the passing game, blocking. Dallas Goedert's great. Bavaro was great in the running game. How important is that to have on your team?
Well, I don't know if you can look at any team that had a great tight end that was not a great team. Mm-hmm. You look at San Francisco, you look at Kansas City, you look at the Eagles. You're talking about Mark Bavaro, go way, way back. We go back to Kellen Winslow and Todd Christensen and, Tony Gonzalez.
Keith Jackson
here was terrific. Antonio Gates. I mean, Gronkowski. Wherever there's been a great tight end, Those teams have played very well, and I don't think that's by accident. And, the Eagles had Brent Selleck, who was very good for a long time, and now you got Dallas Goedert. So, absolutely, I think it's a huge, huge plus to have one.
And obviously an extra offensive lineman in the run game, Damo, an extra receiver in the passing game. Eagles don't need an extra anything on the offensive line. In fact, without Cam Jurgens, Suapeta played a pretty good game this week. We didn't hear Aaron Donald's name mentioned very much, but the Eagles were able to run the ball on those consuming, grinding drives in the second half. The time of possession, huge advantage to the Eagles, adjusting from the early shootout that it looked like it was going to be. Can we give this offensive line too much praise? I mean, week after week after week, they're a key, and it's going to stay that way for a while, isn't it?
Yeah, no, you can't give him too much praise.
No.
Watching Jalen back there yesterday and the time he had, even against blitzes. They were handing off blitzers to the guy next to them. They were doing a terrific job of protecting him. The one sack of Hurts. I think he was back there for about 45 minutes before they he couldn't find anybody open.
Yeah.
Finally, somebody got to him. But, before that, it was just, that line is just, they got, like you said, they got the one guy hurt, Cam Jurgens. Suapeta steps in.
Depth.
He's good enough that he steps in there and isn't a weak link. It's and that's what you need, because you're going to get people hurt at some point, especially on that offensive line, so you need depth.
Well, when you talk about an offensive line, you talk about a unit that can be used for many things. The Eagles have a quarterback that obviously can run, and that helps the team. You don't want him to not run because of the fear of injury and give up something that's really going to help the team. Yesterday, some called running plays, Damo and Sean. The offensive line behind that completely. What do you think of Jalen Hurts? They didn't call a million running plays, but he ran for almost 100 yards yesterday. This offensive line is terrific at blocking for him. Sean, do you think a quarterback has to do what he can do? You don't want to take his DNA out of him?
I agree with that 100%. I don't think, all the great running quarterbacks we've seen, we'll never know, but I think the fact that they ran added so much to their ability in the end is, a quarterback of what they could do.
Obviously.
Yeah, there's no question. Did it look like to you, did Hurts seem like he ran faster yesterday than the first couple days? I remember the first couple days he didn't run as much. And
I think he was thinking for a second.
Maybe,
Should I do this?
I don't know if maybe he was dinged up a little bit, but he really looked quicker yesterday. Yeah. And, again, when you have a quarterback that can do that, it changes everything. I know there were a couple plays where most quarterbacks it might have been an 8-yard sack, but even though he just gained 2 yards, that's a 10-yard difference just because of his skills. So it's a huge, huge benefit to have a guy who can do that.
Yeah, a couple of those runs were just, you watched them, he was not shying from contact at all. He went for the first down. The one he breaks a tackle. The guy that he hung on to the ball was amazing, because they thought it was the broadcasters thought it was a face mask at one point, and he not only breaks the tackle but stays on his feet and gets the first down.
But he has a unique skill, maybe not completely unique, because I'm going to compare him to somebody else who also had it in Barry Sanders, one of the great running backs of all time. He takes shots, but he doesn't take the kill shot. Now, he took one in week 1. People are going to hit you hard in this league, but what does Jalen Hurts do? Either one of you guys, welcome to answer this. What does he do that somehow he avoids a kill shot 98% of the time?
Well, he's smart when he runs. He makes sure that he doesn't take too many shots. He tries to get out of bounds, tries to slide. Like Sean said.
As opposed to Josh Allen, who runs right into traffic.
Yeah, Josh Allen has a linebacker mentality. He wants to prove every time he's running that nobody can hurt him. Jalen's got a fullback body, and can deadlift 600 pounds, and yet he's not stupid enough to think that he can run through a concrete wall. So, he picks his spots, and I agree with what Sean said. The first few games, you saw him take some slides and look slow and just not push it. Yesterday, I think he felt I got to take some shots here. I got to take my chances a couple times because we're going to need these first downs.
No, he absolutely ran different yesterday. And again, who knows? He may have felt better, but as far as, like you say, that kill shot, unfortunately, at some point that's going to happen. He's very quick, and at the last second, if he can move to not take the full brunt, but it will happen because he's a running quarterback, and you just hope it's not bad. I mean, we all kind of forget last year, that injury he had in Chicago was a serious injury.
Oh, yeah.
He missed 4 weeks. They had to come back and use him in the last Giant game to secure the first round. Mm-hmm. And even though he got another week off, I still don't know if he was 100% all the way through.
Way.
No. That was a very tough injury. So you just got to kind of get lucky and hope that doesn't happen because if you get hit the wrong way at that split second, there's nothing you can do about it.
All right, Sean, they're 5-0 right now, play 17 games. The likelihood of anybody going unbeaten, the Niners or them are the only teams that have a shot, is very unlikely. You guys were 10-0 before you lost your quarterback, Phil Simms, in 1990. When you were that, your coach, Bill Parcells, not known for not being a very direct kind of guy, you played good teams, bad teams. You got everybody's best shot every week. The more you went undefeated, the more news you got, the more it was captured in the public and people saying, can they go unbeaten? How much does that weigh on a team? Does it weigh at all on a team? Is a head coach, does he take that blanket off you? What does Nick Sirianni have to do to keep the Eagles focused and not worry about the 0 on one side of the record?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because I remember that year we were 10-0, and the big headlines they have in the New York Post and the Daily News, up there. The next day, the headlines on the back page was Parcells was quoted, "We're not that good." And, we look at each other and laugh because we know that's Bill. He doesn't want you to think you have it made. He doesn't want you to get complacent. And we know what that meant because even if you are 10-0, it's like the Eagles right now being 5-0. There's probably a ton of fans that'll talk about 15 things they should do better, even though they're 5-0. But, I've never been in the position where it's late in the year. I just think they'll keep doing everything they're doing. I was thinking earlier, you got 2 games almost for sure. You got the Eagles at the Chiefs and then that December 3rd game here, which at that part of the year, that game possibly be flexed. I think it's scheduled for 1 o'clock right now.
No.
Yeah, it could be.
They only have 3 1 o'clock games. The 2 Commander games and the Arizona.
Okay.
Yep.
It can be flexed.
It can be
It
flexed.
can be, but it's already a 4 o'clock game.
Oh, okay. But I'm thinking for sure that'll probably be flexed because, who knows? Can you imagine? It's not likely. Imagine both of those teams being undefeated in that game.
What's the latest, Domo, 2 undefeated teams have ever played in the NFL? Do you know?
I think I can recall. I'm trying to think when the year Chicago went deep in. I want to say there might have been 2 12-0 teams.
No, when Miami beat them, they weren't 12-0.
No?
Marino beat them when they were 12-0. But it could be an amazing thing. And
It's been about that. I mean, it's sometime in late November, early December.
That year in 1990, we were 10-0 and San Francisco were 10-0.
Yeah.
The following Monday night, we played each other. And everybody was just talking about how that was going to be the Super Bowl and everything. And we came down here to Philly and got beat decisively. And San Francisco got beat. So we ended up being both 10-1. It was still a big-time game. But
then your quarterback got hurt.
That's correct. Nothing like it would have been 2 11-0 teams at the time.
Won the Super Bowl anyway, by the way. Damo, our guest, Sean Landeta, tonight, has dated many glamorous actresses, has played for many great coaches. One of them named Bill Belichick, who's having a little trouble now, been destroyed the last 2 weeks. Obviously, that's not his DNA. His DNA is Super Bowls. People are wanting to do with Brady, without Brady. Sean, kind of take us inside the mind of Bill Belichick. You're very good friends with him. I know that. You tell me all the time he's a great guy away from the game, and when he's not in his program coach speak post-game thing. Tell us about the Doom thing. You had some interesting stuff when he was a defense coordinator with the Giants. Tell us about Bill Doom Belichick and where you think he is right now.
Well, I know right now, I mean, to say it's killing him would be an understatement. This guy, he's almost approaching 50 years as a coach in the NFL. 50. And, he's never been in this situation, where it's been this bad. And, I know he's the kind of guy that the first thing he's going to do is look at himself, and am I coaching properly? Am I getting them in the right position? Are we teaching this correctly? Because he always looks at himself first, and then you look at the players. But, this is really killing him. And the truth is, no disrespect to their players, every player in the NFL is a good player, really good player. But that being said, collectively, that group is just not as good as most of the other teams they're playing. Bill never in a million years would ever say that, but it really is the truth. I mean, Mac Jones, I think he's a decent quarterback. Would all of us agree that if Pat Mahomes was the quarterback there, they would be a better team?
Yeah. I like Mac Jones. I'm dead wrong on Mac Jones.
But this is what I'm saying. If Belichick had Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey and Chris Jones, would they be better? Of course they'd be better. So, again, a coach has to play the players he has. And, again, he's never going to knock them. And it's just a very tough time for him, as you can believe. Because, remember, did he have Brady and Gronk and all those guys? Absolutely.
Do the Doom story real quick before we take a break. It's some people never hear, and people enjoy
Bill,
it, I think.
The guys used to kid around and nickname him Doom because he was just a guy that every little thing was the end of the world. And that's why he's such a great coach. So because of that, they refer to him as Doom, like everything is Doom. And, it's just, it's almost to me, it's like a positive thing that he cares so much about every little thing, stuff that maybe other people wouldn't know about, that even if everything seems like it's going well, he's still not sure. So it's actually a compliment, to the guys back in the day that would call him that.
All right, Kelly Green is going to be worn by the Eagles, not Bill Belichick, but by our Eagles in Week 7. We're waiting for a green February to go along with this red October. The Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff continues. Going to take a quick break from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Come back and talk a lot more with Paul Domowitch and Sean Landeta. Please join us. We're back right after this.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
Millions of Americans are losing their medical assistance or Medicaid coverage. If this affects you, Independence Blue Cross can help. You may be eligible to enroll in a health plan for as little as $0 a month. With Independence Blue Cross, you get the largest provider network in the area, including most Keystone First doctors and hospitals. We also offer free 24/7 telemedicine, coverage for hospital stays and prescriptions. See if you qualify for $0 health insurance and enroll today. Call Independence Blue Cross at 1-844-464-2583 or visit ibx.com/staycovered.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
Yeah, every once in a while I see it.
All righty, back from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken, this is the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff. We have chaos here. Sean signing some autographs from some of our little fans. Mr. Domowitch is answering questions about the Giants-Eagle game in 1990. We're going to take a look at the rest of the NFL. As we go along here, Damo, and obviously Monday Night Football tonight with the Raiders hosting the Packers, Devontae Adams against his old team. Last night, obviously, the 49ers killed the Cowboys, and Brock Purdy is a big question in many people's minds. We're on the air again, yep. I love the surprise that it can be.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Brock Purdy, we talked about Jake Elliott earlier, kind of coming off a practice squad. Brock Purdy came out of Mr. Irrelevant. Give us, in 30 seconds, your view of Brock Purdy, a guy that's incredibly quick on his feet. He's obviously not the strongest arm or the biggest tools in the world. Pretty damn good, though. What do you think of Brock Purdy?
I saw a lot of him when he was at Iowa State, and I thought, I thought he would possibly potentially be a decent quarterback in this league.
Starter for a Super Bowl contender?
Yeah, no. I mean, you're right. He doesn't have the great arm, the legendary rifle. but he's smart. He's a perfect fit for that offense, a play-action guy. I mean, the numbers he's put up so far are just uncanny.
He's undefeated.
Leads the league in passer rating. He's averaging almost 10 yards an attempt.
He's 10-0 as a starter in the regular season. Obviously got whacked by the Eagles in the playoffs last season, the championship game.
That one doesn't count.
That's true. But there's only one starter that ever won more regular season games to start his career. Won his first 15. Name that tune.
Wow.
I heard the correct answer from the peanut gallery already. Mr. Roethlisberger, 15 in a row.
That's right.
Wow.
To start the season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yep. Sean, what do you think of Purdy and the Niners? Obviously, style points don't matter, and there are a lot of other angles with the Niners, the defensive line, the entire defense. Obviously, Kittle, they got great weapons. Do style points matter to you? Who's a better team right now?
Tough to say. I mean, you watched the Niners play last night. They are just a complete team. Everything they do, and the quarterback is really playing at a high level. I mean, look at the throws, the accuracy of the throws, and everything he's doing. He's playing like he's a 10-year vet. And remember, he's coming off a pretty serious surgery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you'd never know it happened. I mean, it's just amazing that he's playing that well. And man, even if you're not a fan of the 49ers, if you want to watch great NFL football, again, you watch them play and they're terrific. Can't wait for that Eagle 49er game. That's going to be something.
No team, no offense, including the Chiefs, is going to challenge the Eagles' defense like McCaffrey, Purdy, all the weapons they have. I mean, it's just if they. I mean that's. I think that's going to end up being a preview of the NFC Championship game. I guess the Cowboys could surprise, but I mean, I think the two best teams, clearly, maybe in the league, not only NFC right now, are the Eagles and the 49ers.
By saying the Cowboys, you reminded me of something this morning. I was talking to a friend of mine in the CIA down in Washington, and he was talking to me about Dak Prescott and how they were thinking of hiring him as an agent, but they were afraid that his calls might get intercepted. He had a little problem last night with picks and the like. Mr. Prescott, are the Cowboys lacking a quarterback? Are they a quarterback away, or is he just struggling right now?
Well, I mean, that's why they brought Trey Lance in.
Yes, it is.
In another year or two, they got to make a decision here on Prescott. Aside from the fact that he throws too many ill-timed interceptions, he's a pretty good quarterback, but that's a bad habit to have if you play that position.
Yeah, I agree, Paul. I mean, I think he's a pretty good quarterback again because he's shown some really good signs. Right. You expect him to be like that all the time. A lot of times in sports, especially football, I kind of use a baseball analogy where if a guy's a 270, 280 hitter, he's a good hitter. Mm-hmm. Now, that guy's going to hit 320 for a month or two. He's going to be terrific. And you're going to want him to do that all the time. But in the end, he's that good 380 hitter. 280 hitter. And, again, you want him to be that great guy all the time, but a lot of time he just can't. And I think that's the deal with Prescott. I mean, he's a good quarterback, but people want him to be
great.
Josh Allen and Herbert and Mahomes, and I just don't think he's that guy.
The question is, does he need to be for that team to take the next step?
I think he does have to be that guy if they want to take the next step. Because they have to get by the Eagles and the Niners, who they play both, obviously.
Yeah. And I don't think he is. I agree with Sean. I don't think he is that guy, and that's. Their defense suddenly is showing some leakage.
Oh, it's interesting because the defense showed leakage, but you saw two teams basically use the same strategy yesterday, even though they played different positions, different people in every way, shape, and form. The Eagles ran right at Aaron Donald a lot. The Niners ran right at Micah Parsons.
Yep.
Sean, you first. Why is it with a great player a beneficial strategy usually to run right at them and take the pursuit out of them, because both those guys can pursue with the best of them?
Well, the thinking is if you can tie him up right here, instead let him run someone down or do something with that skill he has, it helps if you can kind of nullify him or keep him in a little area right here. Now, it doesn't always work. You try to do that, but that might be the thinking. But, you were mentioning the Cowboys. I don't really follow them too close, but I think last night they said in the first 4 games, they'd only given up 41 points collectively. And then last night by themselves, 42. They gave up 42. So, again, is San Francisco just that good? Maybe they are. We'll see what happens. But, that's the thinking behind that. It doesn't always work. But, you want to try to nullify that one great player the best you can.
Tom, what do you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, you take away their best asset, which in most cases, like with Micah Parsons and Donald. I mean, Donald's strong, but he's undersized. Both of
Undersized at 295.
Yeah, both of them are athletic and fast, and by running right at them, you take that away from them. They can't pursue.
I was thinking about 4 words to the crowd, 4 words last night through the entire game. And I was thinking, are these 4 words? Well, I'll just mention them now. Tell me what you guys think about them. How about them Cowboys? There we are.
Well, nobody in Dallas is feeling like that today. I tell you
Jimmy
what.
Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a team that's really, really good. Again, 1990, we're 10-0. We come down here and just get totally beat by the Eagles by like 20, 25 points. And, you look at yourself a little bit because you're good. But you just got beat like that, and you were ready to play. All the phrases that really don't come into play. They'll say, were you ready? This and that. No, you were ready. They were just that much better that day, and we were able to recover and go on. But let's see. They're going to be in that situation now, where they just totally got outplayed, and, let's see what they do.
All right, Tom, on the other side of the NFL spectrum, the Eagles next week, another 425 game up at the Meadowlands, not against the Giants, but against Robert Saleh's Jets. Eagles 6.5-point favorites. Before we talk about the Eagles-Jets game, I thought a Jet coach, multiple Jet coaches, showed incredible class yesterday because Sean Payton, to me, the biggest jackass in the NFL, who ripped Nathaniel Hackett's coaching job last year and is doing a similar, if not worse one this year with the Denver Broncos. They lost to the Denver Broncos, and Nathaniel Hackett, they didn't shake hands on the field, but he said he would apologize, and he hasn't. Hackett took the high road, didn't say a word about Peyton, the fact that he knew and that everybody else knew what it meant to him. How do you feel about the way Hackett and Saleh and the Jets handled that game? I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, it was. I mean, just keep your mouth shut and beat them on the field. I mean, I love it because I used to like Sean Payton many years ago. I mean, he worked in Philly. But he became an ass several years ago, and what he did, what he said about Hackett was just uncalled for, and now he can't back it up. I mean, he's doing the worst coaching job in Denver I've seen since God. You got to go back to when they were a really bad team in the 60s or 70s.
Sean, you play with a lot of coaches. Obviously, you've had coaches ripped and talked about, but have you ever had anybody kind of destroyed who did a terrible job, got whacked, or even if they didn't get whacked, that had people say stuff about him that Peyton said? Is there any room for that in the NFL or any business for that matter?
Well, I don't think so, and I was thinking back. I've talked to former teammates because everyone was aware of it. And, look, in private, we all say things between people we know and our thoughts that you don't want anyone else to hear, and that's certainly okay. That's human nature. But to come out publicly like that, even if you were right, it's still not a good thing to do. And now certainly the way it's played out, really comes back to hit them harder. So, I mean, for them to go out there and win and, how about after the game, the head coach says there's one game ball, it's on film in the locker room. One game ball goes to Nathaniel Hackett. And they all cheered, so that right there was kind of a shot. But
that spoke volumes.
Yeah, it sure did. But, they're struggling in Denver. That new ownership paid, $6-8 billion and went out and made Peyton.
Here's what I would do. We're going to take a quick break, but they're owned by Walmart. They're owned by the Waltons. They signed Peyton to an $80 million contract, one that nobody's going to fire a guy and just eat the balance. They should do that. They should eat the balance of that contract, fire him today. $80 million is like a soda dropping off the shelf to the Waltons and Walmart. That's what I would do, but I'm not worth $18 trillion, so what I want to do may not be relevant.
Yeah, but then you'll be buying a bag of chips at Walmart for about $17.
There we are.
Yeah.
All right, we got a lot of other stuff to talk about. The Eagles and the Jets, we'll talk about that game, and the Dolphins game, and the Kelly Green, and all kinds of good stuff about our team. Philadelphia Eagles, Philly starting in a few minutes. Everybody looking forward to that. The Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff. Final segment with Sean Landeta and our great co-host Paul Domowitch right after this. Stay with us.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
Millions of Americans are losing their medical assistance or Medicaid coverage. If this affects you, Independence Blue Cross can help. You may be eligible to enroll in a health plan for as little as $0 a month. With Independence Blue Cross, you get the largest provider network in the area, including most Keystone First doctors and hospitals. We also offer free 24/7 telemedicine, coverage for hospital stays and prescriptions. See if you qualify for $0 health insurance and enroll today. Call Independence Blue Cross at 1-844-464-2583 or visit ibx.com/staycovered.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
Oh, because they got it on the tape.
All right, everybody, we're back for our final segment here, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Chuck and Jerry and Guy, a great time every week. Next week again, Dick Vermeil on the 16th. Make sure you come here for that. My co-host Paul Domowitch writes for the 3013.com. Great website. Dom, what you got brewing this week?
Doing something on sacks and pressures, Jolly.
Steve Sacks?
They're up dramatically around the league.
Up dramatically around the league. Any particular rule change or reason for that?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
What kind of conclusions? To give us a little taste of the article?
I haven't found any yet. Other than the numbers are changing like night and day. I don't know if it's a lot of. I think a lot of it's just inexperienced offensive linemen that are being rushed into the lines. I think you got younger quarterbacks. You had a lot of the older guys, the Roethlisbergers, the Phillip Rivers, that group that's out. And now you got young guys that maybe are making a lot of mistakes and holding on to the ball. That's near as I can figure right now.
All right, Sean, the NFL stands for a lot of things. A lot of people say not for long. My wife, Amy, has a friend, Allie, here tonight, who's from Buffalo. And the Bills won 3 games by 28 points or more before they went to London for the Jaguars' second game in London and got beat by Jacksonville. Week to week, it's unbelievable the change that the NFL. I mean, look at Dallas 1 week. They win by 35. They lose by 32 the next week. What is it about the NFL that leads to 1 week not having anything to do with the next week? And can you think of a big example where that happened to you guys, either good or bad?
Well, certainly through the years it happened a number of times, and you really can't put your finger on it. There's not one reason. We all want to have a nice, easy explanation answer for everything, and quite often it's not that, and it's not 2 or 3 things. The truth is a lot of times it's 10 things. Perfect example is, a punt gets kicked in the game and it gets returned for a touchdown. And usually it's just very easy and neat to say, well, he outkicked his coverage. Well, that's not what happened. But they don't want to take 45 seconds to say that, 2 guys missed a tackle, another guy was in his lane, this. Those are the reasons the punt will return. But let's just say he outkicked his coverage. It's nice and clean and simple. So, and that's the case in a lot of things. It's not just 1 or 2 things, it's always a number of things. And even on every particular play, that cool thing about football is, I've seen it on film. It's the wildest thing to see on film where you blocked 10 of the 11 defenders. I mean, totally textbook blocked. But the one guy you didn't blew the whole play up.
Yeah.
Then I've seen something where you didn't block anybody. Nobody. But the play was a success. And you're like, how did it happen? Because on every single play and every game, things just change. And
guys have talent, Sean. Some guys don't need a lot of blocks. A lot of room.
I think the stat is, you would know better than me, basically around half the games in the NFL, for the most part, are decided by about 7 points. Yeah. Now, that's one play. one play is 7 points. So think about it. About half of every single game is decided by one play, points-wise. So the talent is really that close for the most part. And again, that's why every week you just don't know. We all see things happen. How does Dallas, go into, the Cardinals give up a 28-7 lead at home and lose. Then the next week they absolutely crush the Cowboys at home. Yeah. No one expected that, but that's why football is so great. We watch because we just don't know.
All right, Domo, week 5 saw a lot of strange things, a lot of things people expect around the NFL. Joe Burrow seemed to get his mojo back and win over the Cardinals. A lot of good, a lot of bad. Give me a couple things that caught your radar yesterday.
Well, Kansas City had more trouble than I thought with Minnesota.
Mahomes had never played the Vikings. Interesting. Yeah. Weird scheduling quirk.
Kansas City's a team that's still trying to find itself. Their defense is probably – this is Spagnuolo's defense. This might be the best unit they've had over the last 5 years or so. But the offense is just kind of floundering sometimes. Miami Giants are a big surprise. I didn't know whether they would be better than last year, but I did not expect them to flounder like they're doing. Lost yesterday to Miami 31-16. Detroit is starting to set itself apart from a lot of teams in the NFC North. Just pounded Carolina, which has been a surprise. I never expected Frank Reich to be winless at this point. He's got Bryce Young. They added Miles Sanders, but you build as the Eagles are proving. It's offensive and defensive lines that win in this league.
But if somebody said to you before last year, to me the amazing thing, Sean and Paul, is how much guys come out of nowhere. Obviously, Tom Brady, the greatest example, but Terrell Davis, there's been plenty of them. The Eagles with Jason Kelsey and Brent Selleck and then Trent Cole and the like, but if I told you before last year that there'd be big stars in the NFL this year named Brock Purdy, Puka Nacua, and Devin Achane, you would have told me who or what, right?
Yeah, well, again, every year we see this. So many times a guy just needs a chance, and if he's in a right situation, and, again, we talk about situation. The kid in Miami's on a terrific team with a great offense.
No speed, though.
The kid in – yeah, right. The kid in – Los Angeles that we saw yesterday has a terrific quarterback throwing to him. No one thought of that. And, every year you just see that. Most of the time, you don't see those players doing that on an 0-5 team. Yeah. Usually they're all pretty good teams with people around them. But, again, that's one of the great things about football. You love to see these stories where a kid who's not heralded gets his opportunity and becomes a star. It's a great thing.
And we're sitting here with a guy from Towson State.
Yep.
Right. Who went to the USFL and then ended up playing 50 years in the NFL.
Yep. I was so lucky. I never played football until I was a senior in high school.
Tell everybody what your favorite sport is.
Well, by far it's baseball because I played baseball since I was 2 or 3, and it was always my favorite sport. And I wish I could have played that, but I never played football until I was a senior in high school, and the only school to offer me a scholarship was a Division II school, Towson University, and so I went there, and I was fortunate to play well enough to get a chance. But again, you just never know. You play your best, and if you play well, you get your opportunity, and hopefully good things happen.
You said something to me one time, though. Sean and I are pretty good friends off the radio dial, and you said something to me: as a punter gets older, it's harder to keep your job because of the salary cap and how that works. Explain that, because it's fascinating. You may not have thought of this, you may have, but tell me about $1 million punter who's in his 18th year squaring off against a rookie making a couple hundred G's, and what the handicap is.
Well, I don't know what the rules are now. They're probably similar, but when I was playing as I got older as a punter, I worried about the fact that you could go to training camp, because every year you got to make the team. Everybody just assumes you're going to be there. You'll be there if for 6 weeks you punt better than the other guys. And, it's a tough thing because it's very tangible. You could punt great, but if that other young man's better than you, it's nothing personal. You're out. He's in. But it got to a point where you could win the job. You could punt better, and they still could release you because their thought would be, look, you punted really good, better than the young guy. But he was still very good, and we can win with him. Except he's 22, he's younger.
and his salary is a third of what yours is.
Because you're required to make a certain amount after a certain amount of years.
Yeah, a lot of fans don't realize after a certain point of years, you have to make a minimum salary. And a lot of veterans, we would play for less. Do you know any occupation in the world where you're not allowed to go into your boss and say, I will work for 1/3 of my salary? And he says, sorry, you're not allowed to. You know, I mean, that's the situation. So every year, and that's not only a punter, that's at every position. Every year there might be 2-3 guys on a team, 7th, 8th year, who played better than the young guy. But the young guy was still really good. But he's a lot cheaper and he's going this way. So the guy's sitting at home thinking, I went to camp, I won a job, and I'm out of the league.
What was your first contract in 1983 with the Stars?
First contract, I got what seemed like all the money in the world, a $4,000 signing bonus. And if I made the team, I got a $1,000 roster bonus. And my salary was $30,000. And when you're 21 years old, it really felt like $1 million. It really did. Because back then, you know, man, if you had $20 in your pocket and you were in college, you were lucky. But, yeah, going back, I can't believe that's 40 years ago now, 1983. Wow.
I think I've told this story when Sean was on one of the previous years. I mean, I remember my first interview with Sean in 83. He's a rookie. We're out in California for a week because the Stars were playing 2 games on the West Coast, and we're sitting in a closed diner. I think it was owned by Dick Corey, the former Eagles coach.
Yes, that's correct.
You know, it was one of those 50s style diners with the the linoleum and the
which at that time was only 25 years old. Think about it, right? No, I do remember that, you know, and again, as a kid, you know, imagine you're 21. I'd never been to California. You know, we go out, we stay there for a week, and, you know, we all grew up watching the parades on New Year's Day, and just all the guys that played in the USFL, especially here in Philadelphia, we had such a great team. The memories are magic. It's just so wonderful.
Tell everybody how many different pensions. Sean played 23 years in the NFL, 3 in the USFL. You don't get just one pension. You get multiple pensions, correct?
Well, yeah, in the last 20, 30 years, the NFL probably has the best post-career plan, not only of all major sports, but of any company in the world. I mean, you know, we get 4 levels of retirement. 4. You know, I don't know any business or industries that gives their employees 4 years. We get severance pay, we get an annuity, we get a pension, and then we get a 401k plan.
You're the highest paid employee of the NFL on the planet today due to all the years you played, correct?
Maybe. Could be the highest or one of the few highest. And they give you different ways you can take it, but it's really amazing what they've done, because for a lot of years it was not good. Yeah. But if you've played in the NFL the last 25, 30 years, your post-career plan is exceptional, and they keep making it better every time they do a new CBA with the owners. They include the old guys.
All right, Damo, we're pretty much out of time. Anything else to say real quick?
No. Can't think of anything. Looking forward to next week with Dick Vermeil.
Dick Vermeil here next Monday night. Hopefully the Eagles are 6-0 at that point. Hopefully the Phillies are in the NLCS by that point. I want to thank Sean Landeta a lot. It's great when you stop by, Sean. All kinds of great stories. Thanks a lot, and continued good luck in the future.
Thanks, Paul. It's always great here to be with you guys, and appreciate being here at the Great American Pub.
Thanks to the crowd. A lot of people coming out. Appreciate it very much. Thanks to our producer, Brianne O'Neill, Stephen Lawler, back at the station. For Paul Domowitch, I'm Paul Jolovitz. Again, Dick Vermeil next Monday night, October 16th. My mother's 92nd birthday, by the way. Come on out and say hi. We're back with the Monday Night Kickoff here at the Great American Pub next Monday night. Have a great week, everybody. Go Phillies and go Eagles.